Hey, welcome to the fine print, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Caleb Teskey. And boy, I was a minute late for this interview. My alarm did not go off in time, but here we are. Boy, I want to before we get into anything tonight, I want to thank you guys for checking out some of my last interviews. Well, we had Marguerite Edelman from the Vermont PFAS and Military Poisons Coalition. I had Jason Sterling from Sterling Cannabis. A great interview there. Had Mark Schwartz from the Evidence Room. One of the best interviews I ever had. And tonight we got another good one. This is cool, man. One of my favorite things about doing this show is I get to reconnect with some of my old friends. And, you know, it was great. My guest tonight is a guy that I met back in college when I was living at the fraternity. He used to come play our parties. He played in a couple bands. And we're going to bring him on tonight. This is going to be great, man. Bang. Peter Smerlas, Lonetree. Hey.
What's up, buddy? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. It's thank you for calling me, dude, because my alarm did not go off and I was late for this.
Oh, man. Was I your alarm?
You were, dude. I had one set and I don't know what happened, but thank you.
No problem. No problem. Glad we figured it out.
Hey, before we do anything serious, would you hit us with a 5-minute life story?
5-minute life story. Yeah, I suppose.
I'm gonna bounce in and out too with the camera, like.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
I'll try not to get too distracted by my own pink shirt, but I can give you a 5-minute life story if you'd like. My name's Peter Smerlas, also known as Lonetree. I grew up in Waltham, Massachusetts. 41 years old. I'm a father of two. In the laborers union, more specifically a building wrecker. I've been playing music for a long time. That's actually how we met, like you mentioned. Went to school here in Waltham. Learned the ins and outs of life. Started playing music here. I'm at my parents' house right now where I grew up. And I was just talking about this the other night. My father found a Yamaha keyboard in the dumpster behind my house when I was a young man. And he brought it in and he goes, "Hey, you think you could use this? Maybe you can make some music on it." So I said, "Yeah, let's try it out." And it sat in my room for a few months. And then I busted it out one night and learned how to make some funny beats. Like, you know how they have like the preset styles of music, like on the keyboard on the top. You get like your country beats, rock beats, baroque, jazz. So we make beats out of those. We take a little tape recorder, put it next to the keyboard, and record. That's my first tape. Was this Keys to Success? I got the cassette right here. So we made a cassette tape of the early songs. So, I don't know why I'm even including that in my 5-minute life story, but I feel like it's a significant, thing to mention as far as like how it started with me. And then as things progress and technology and just meeting new people, was able to form different groups, be a part of like a bunch of different crews over the years, and make a ton of music. And it's been a really fun ride so far, and we're still going. So I don't know what's that, about 3.5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes.
Yeah, your timing is impeccable, man. You really. It's like you've done this before.
It's like I got a clock right here.
My man, it's great to talk to you. And when we met, right, so I was back in college and we talked about this, I think earlier today. It was 2005, maybe somewhere around there. So pushing 20 years here now, my man.
Yeah.
And when I met you, you were playing with the primary others, and I thought maybe we should start there, and that would be a good jump off point for the rest of this conversation.
Yeah, why not?
Hey,
Had we already? Were we primary others when we met, or were we still primary colors?
Oh, I didn't know there was primary colors. I knew primary others.
All right, so we were probably already primary others. We began as primary colors, um, probably around 2002, 2003, maybe, and it was me, Corey, the guitar player, and Mike was the other singer. And we started as primary colors, and we kind of each like assigned ourselves like a color. I was the red, Corey was the yellow, Mike was the blue, and we formed a group. And at first, we had a kid named Cooper playing stand-up bass, and his roommate Jesse. This is dating way back to when it started, and they were the original like rhythm section. And actually, that keyboard I was just talking about, some of the songs that Mike and I wrote on that keyboard turned into primary songs, like I Need to Eat, and there was a couple other ones too, but more the one that stands out the most is I Need to Eat. So yeah, that's how that started, and then it kind of changed members. We got a different bass player, Josh, and Paul played drums. And when we met in 2005, that was probably the lineup, and we had just released our debut album called The Highland Formulas. And shout out to Dave Supakis. He did the cover for The Highland Formulas, but we were like, he was at the same time doing one of the covers for a Korn album, like the Korn album that has the little kid with like the white pale face and it's like a black background. It's one of their more popular albums. But I remember like waiting to get our cover, and he was like, "Hey guys, I'm real sorry, I'm just finishing this cover for Korn." We were like, "It's cool, bro. Like, take your time, do what you got to do." So that was exciting, and just that whole time was really cool. We lived together, me, the bassist and the drummer, and then like Mike also. We all had like, we got a house in Stoneham, and then we got a house in Billerica, and we had the Funk Lab, we used to call it, down in the basement, where we had all our band practices, and it was really cool. We wrote a lot of music down there, and just would go over stuff, and of course like hang out, and it was like a cool place to go back and party after the bars or whatever. We go back to the Funk Lab. And a lot of magic was made down there, so that was a fun time. And Josh, the bass player at the time, he was like booking all shows, man. Like he was just we were doing any gigs. Like, I mean, we showed up at your frat house and played.
I was gonna say, clearly we're just playing anyway.
Yeah, we were playing anyway, but like, at the same time, we were doing Harper's Ferry, the Middle East. We played the Hemp Fest a couple times. So we were like, but we wouldn't not take the smaller gigs too. Any dive bars, we would take them all. I remember being mad that I missed my 5-year high school reunion. Actually, we played up in Vermont in Brattleboro.
Oh.
And we played, it was a snowy night. There was not one person in there besides the bartender. And we played like 2-hour-long sets. And it was the same year as my 5-year reunion in high school. And I wasn't a real big, like, scholastic person, but I wanted to try and go to the reunion to see what was going on. You know what I mean? But I was like, man, we really playing any gig we can get out here. So, but, the gigs that were quiet and that weren't, a lot of people weren't there, made you appreciate the ones. And to be honest with you, man, some of the best gigs we ever played, there was only a few people in there, and some of the people that were there that we ended up meeting, we formed connections with, that lasted a long time. And like, they were like, dude, I saw you at Evo's Art Center with like 3 other people, and they ended up, becoming friends of ours. So you never know who's watching. That's the point of the story, I guess.
I got a couple comments here.
Yeah.
We got Sue Teskey. I still have my Primary Others t-shirt and still wear it.
Panda Sue, what up?
Yeah.
Big shout out.
We've got the Recluse Mongoose, Brett Giuliano. He said, that lid is fire, kid.
Yeah, This is the Big League Chew edition fitted from last year.
And then we got We got Keith Clark, who said, Pete.
Hey, Keith. Speaking of Primary Others members, Keith was a member of Primary Others later on down the road,
Oh,
and
no
played. Yeah, he played guitar when we kind of took a break, and when we got back together, maybe like 2012ish, 2013. Keith and a kid named Brian Higgins, we went with a dual guitar lineup, and Keith is an amazing guitarist, one of the best people I ever met, and he played in a band called the Franks back in the day too. So we used to play with them. And when Primary 2.0 got back together, Keith was a big part of that and was laying down some tasty grooves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you guys, you had a little flair for maybe a little heavy metal, even when you were rocking with the Primary Others, man, which I really personally enjoyed.
Yeah. No, we weren't afraid to get heavy, man. And we kind of would pride ourselves as like a fusion that was kind of indescribable. And we used to get a kick out of when people would try to like familiarize us with whoever. They're like, you're like Bob Marley and 311 and the Roots and like Slayer. And we'd be like, okay. They're like, you're like Red Hot Chili Peppers, System of a Down, and like Jay-Z. But I used to take all that like as a compliment. But it was funny too because like we were too hip hop for like the real rock shows that were like real strictly rock, and then we were too heavy sometimes for the hip hop shows where the kids would be looking at us like, what are those like things that they're holding? And but it was cool. We kind of liked being different. We didn't really. I think a lot of our message and our sound was we were just trying to be different and trying to create something that was like new and not like predictable.
It's like Rage Against the Machine mixed with good dudes.
Yeah. Like good local guys, but like can rock out like Shooty's groove. So, but yeah, man, it was that was a lot of fun, man. And I've done a lot of music without a band and rocked with DJs. I've rocked with Discmen as my DJs. Or just people playing the beats. We used to rock with that keyboard plugged right into the board, playing it live. But there's really nothing like playing with a band when the band is clicking and you've been training and the songs are tight and everyone knows which direction the other person's going to go to the point where it's like it just flows. It really I was really blessed to be a part of a group that was able to do that. And sometimes I remember at shows and at practice sitting back and like listening to the band play and being like, man, like I'm a pretty lucky guy to be surrounded by this much talent and guys that are really, I'm talking guitar solos, bass solos, drum solos, bridges, choruses, reprises, like all this musical shit that like rappers don't really recognize all the time. So it was like, it taught me a lot about music and song structure and writing and stuff like that. To be around those guys, it really, it helped shape me into who I became,
Yeah, and I've always been a big Roots fan. I saw the Roots at Woodstock in '99.
Oh, we can talk about that. I got a good Roots at Woodstock story, but go ahead.
Oh, hey, that's it. Yeah, take it away.
No, are you sure? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I really enjoy hip hop with the live band. I agree with you, man. I think there's nothing like it. And when you're locked in, like I've seen now, like the Rock Him on the Tiny Desk or something like that. Some of these, boy, they sound great with a live band, man.
Oh hell yeah! Did you see the Juvenile one from like a month ago? He just did a Tiny Desk. I was never like a huge Juvenile fan, but he did the Tiny Desk and he had the horn section and the live band playing. Dude, it was super super dope. You should check that one out when you get a chance. You want my Woodstock Roots story?
Yes, definitely.
Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
1999, 17 years old, we go to Woodstock. The Roots were playing. The Roots was probably the main group that I wanted to see at that time. And I remember, you remember how hot it was. It was 100 degrees every day. It was brutal. There was no shade. And this is before like everything was $8 and like people ran out of water and shit got crazy on Sunday. But I think the Friday night, maybe the Roots were on, or Saturday. But what they did is they scheduled the Roots and DMX, who was pretty much the only other like hip hop act on Woodstock that year. They scheduled them both at the same time on two different stages, and DMX went on the big stage, and he has a legendary performance. We've all seen videos of him with like the red overalls and him rocking Woodstock. But I went to go see the Roots, and I may or may not have had a head full of acid and whatever other things that were going on at the time. But I saw the Roots, and I felt like they were pissed that the attendance on the crowd, because most of the hip hop people went to see DMX. DMX was like the shit at that time. He was like the biggest, one of the biggest acts out. So I felt like the Roots crowd was like a little light, and maybe I was reading into it a little too much. But I remember them kind of having like an attitude, and I felt like they played like circus music for like the last 45 minutes of their set, and just went into these weird jams. And now that I'm talking about it, I don't even know if it really went down like that, but that's how I received it. And I was so pissed. I was like, I want to fucking go home. I'm like, Woodstock sucks. This is terrible. I'm like, why did they schedule them at the same time as DMX? I was upset. And the people I was with, they needed to like calm me down. They're like, listen, bro, like it's okay. Like it wasn't that bad. And I was like, no, you don't understand. So, um, that's my Roots Woodstock story. And then my boy passed like 8 kidney stones at Woodstock, and we had to go save him. And that was another thing.
You know, my sister was in labor when we were at Woodstock. I was 16, 17. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
we're on the same age.
yeah, and we broke down on the way there and on the way back in the same town in New York. It was called
Oh, really?
it was called Amsterdam, New York, and it was the sketchiest little town.
Yeah.
And yeah, my mom's like trying to deal with Siobhan having a baby, and it was crazy. The whole thing. We left too when the fire started. We got out of there because it was just yeah.
It was
It was
wild.
yeah.
We made our escape Sunday morning because we thought we ran out of bud, and so we were like, we gotta go. So we started packing up, and like once we were almost done packing up, we found like the last ounce of like brick weed that we had, and we were like, well, whatever. Like let's still just go because we're already packed up, and like it's hot, and everyone was just cooked, you know. And we get in line to leave, and there's like a huge line of cars. We're like, oh man, we're gonna be sitting here like all day to try to get out of here. And like we look over to our right, and there's like 5 or 6 dudes like tearing down the fence that was like a little escape route to take you out to like an access road. And there's like 4 guys hanging on the fence, and finally one guy drives his pickup truck through the fence, and we were like one of like 8 cars that was like, oh shit, look at that. And we slid out and we got on the access road and we made our escape. But again, I wasn't in my right mind, so maybe that didn't even happen. But that's how I remember leaving Woodstock 99.
Yeah, we actually left and we went to a hotel in Amsterdam where we broke down again, and we watched the fires on TV and we took a shower. And I remember, wow, it's nice to be in the shower.
Yeah, this is better than being on fire right now.
Yeah, but it was. I actually went to see Rage Against the Machine. That's who I really wanted to see. I didn't even know the Roots existed then, and then I saw them, and I remember going up to a guy and asking him, you know, who are these guys? He was like, "That's the Roots." And ever since then, I've been a big fan.
Oh hell yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We all like the Roots. Me and the drummer, and a couple of the other primary members. We grew up as like little kids, and we loved "Do You Want More" and "Illadelph Half Life." Those albums were a big part of like our adolescence. You know,
Hmm.
I always loved that shit.
I had the Roots Come Alive. That was the first one I got, and boy, that
Yeah.
was their album too. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love Philadelphia might be my top one, but I love Things Fall Apart, and I love Phrenology
uh,
is probably Phrenology might be my favorite Roots album.
hmm. Who are some of your other musical influences growing up, man?
So many, you know. I just remember when I was like in sixth grade, fifth, sixth, seventh grade, like grunge was really big. And you know, I liked like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. I had an Alice in Chains poster in my room upstairs. Um, so I really liked that, and I loved you know, we were kind of like hardcore kids, and we loved like the local hardcore scene, and we hung out with punk rock kids, so we liked a lot of the local punk rock. But I always was down with like skateboarding and like the skateboard kids, and like a lot of those dudes were like our friends' older brothers and sisters, and they would put us on to like really dope hip hop that like nobody our age was really listening to. Like dudes were still on like Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer and like Salt and Pepper and like that kind of shit, mainstream rap. You know what I mean? And so we went totally the other way, and we thought we were so cool because we knew about like Grave Diggers and Funk Dubious and you know, Cypress Hill, House of Pain, and like even deeper like groups like the Goats, Blood of Abraham, like super underground shit. It was almost like a quest to find stuff and be like, nobody knows about this, you know, because that was just who we were learning from. But like, you know, guys like Redman, early like boot camp click guys, Wu Tang, obviously all the solo Wu Tang albums that came out. Um, you know, I loved all that shit, but I always tried to keep an open mind. My father was a big blues guy. My mother played guitar, and she kind of liked folk music and stuff. So like even as a kid, I found something that I liked in all different kinds of music, and I try and teach my kids that, you know, they're little, but I try and tell them, hey, you know, because my daughter went through a stage where like if she didn't know the song, she didn't want to hear it, and I'd be like, here, check out this song. She's like, I don't know this song. I'm like, yeah, I know, but like you might like it, and then you'll know it, and it'll be another song. You know, like, play Olivia Rodrigo or whatever. You know, she want to hear something else, but I always thought it was important to keep an open mind, and I think some of my best creating music times came when I was not listening to a lot of hip hop, when I was listening to other shit. Um, Somehow it would like produce good rhymes in hip hop when I wasn't constantly pumping like hip hop into my ears, you know?
Huh. Stepping outside your own genre a little bit.
Why not?
Hmm.
You know?
Now, I'd like to ask you sort of because when I called you yesterday, I was trying to put together the lineage of what happened in between college when I met you in the primary other days. And like, this is a long gap in between where, I picked you up with the Dunnas again with Stephen
Mhm.
D. Simone. And I'm curious
Yeah.
what happened in the time in between.
That's a good question. You know, I'm going to be honest with you, Caleb. Those years are a little blurry. I do remember some events. So I remember 2005, we dropped the primary album. And then around that time, actually, even before that, I met a guy named Egads, who was a producer that I locked in with for many, many years. Super talented artist, beat maker, graphic design artist. And like even while primary was going, like I stayed in the studio working on solo shit, and a lot of Lonetree projects came out after that. That's actually, if we want to talk about what happened musically, um,
Yes,
I
we
did
do.
an album. Well, at first I did Sound Hungry. That was an Lonetree project in like 2003, and then I was in a group called My Mans and Them with the Yukon MC. Shout out to Yukon. And my mans and them did an album called The Museum of Science, and that's where I met Egads. Egads did some production on there. This guy Jeep Jack did. DJ Frank White had a beat on there. So I already had a solo album, my Mans and Them album, then the primary album came out, and then I went back to doing a ton of solo music, and I dropped an album called Let Me Pet That Kitty in 2006, 2007. Then me and Egads did The One in 2007.
Let me pet that.
Let Me Pet That Kitty. Yeah, it was cool. Like the cover was, we did two covers, an alternate cover, but it was, remember Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget?
I'll get you next time.
Yeah, exactly. So you know how you could never really see him? It was just like the back of his chair, and he had that cat on his desk.
And he had the hand, and he would just.
So the cover of Let Me Pet That Kitty was like the back of Dr. Claw's chair, and he had the kitty on the desk, and he had a screen on his desk. And the screen on one cover was me. I think I was eating a chicken wing on the screen on one of them. And then on the other one, it's the same cover, but on the screen, I was doing something else. Maybe I had like a boombox or something in my ear or something. So Let Me Pet That Kitty had like 23 songs and a bonus song. That was almost like a mixtape, but it was original beats. And we also formed a group called Pussy Booger at the time. I don't know if you know about Pussy Booger.
No, I don't.
It's not what you think. It was actually me and White Mike from Primary Others started a side group with Egads, and the beats were all Pantera grooves. They were all like the sickest, our favorite like breakdowns from Pantera songs.
White Mike was the other MC, right?
In Primary, yep. Yeah, so we started Pussy Booger, and we were like, we're just going to rap to Pantera. And we're just going to drink, and we're going to party, and we're not going to fucking redo any of the songs. We're just going to go crazy. And we did a Pussy Booger album. And then I met a kid after a show at the Middle East. I think I opened for Joe Budden. And I came outside after the show, and this young kid came up to me, and he goes, "Yo, you're Oakland." Yeah. He goes, "Yo, what's up with this album with Mr. Jason?" Like an album that didn't even ever come out. And like he knew, I could tell when I talked to this kid, he was paying attention to like what was going on and things that I had mentioned that like that hadn't really come to life yet. And I was like, "Oh, this kid knows. He's following me," you know. It was like I was like flattered, you know. And then he gave me a beat CD with like 50 beats on it. And this was back when that's how I used to get beats from people. Did I get knocked off? Oh, you found Pussy Booger? Are you still there?
Boom. Can you hear me? Hey. Yeah. I found like, yeah, I wanted to just slap that up there.
Yeah, boom. See, that's the one Pussy Booger song that made it on Let Me Pet That Kitty, but we ended up doing a whole album. But that song's wild, dude. You should peep that after this. Yeah. So anyways, the kid I was talking to gave me a beat CD because that's how I used to get beats back in the day. And it was like 50 beats, and they were fucking crazy. Like I remember they were like nothing I ever heard. And the kid turned out to be a young man named Billy Blaze Ryan, now known as Willie Lowe, who would eventually become the Dunnas producer for the first 4 Dunnas albums. He produced all of them. But he was, when I met him, he was going to UMass Amherst at the time. So I drove out there after I heard these beats. I hit him up. I said, "Yo, these are crazy. Like I gotta come through." So I took a solo adventure out to UMass Amherst, and we recorded like 8 songs that night. And we started working on an album called Lava. And Lava, some people think that's my best album. It's one of my favorite ones that I've done. It has production from a few different people, but Billy Blaze was kind of had the most beats on it. Egads was a big part of it. I mean, I had beats from E1. Like I had some this kid Barrick Anderson from Long Beach was on it. He had a couple bangers on it. But Lava was a really cool album. So that was like 08 maybe. And then then me and Blaze started, and Big Deece. Big Deece was in a group called The Camp, and me and Big Deece noticed that like when we got together, like we both wrote really fast, and we kind of like had a vibe. We had a chemistry in the studio, and so we were like, "Yo, let's do some shit." So then me and Deece started recording, and we formed the Dunnas. So now we're talking like 09, 2010, 2011, 2012. We were doing Dunnas shit. We did All You Can Eat was the first Dunnas album. Monster Rap was the second Dunnas album. Then we did a EP called Redesigning the Real, and then Reinventing the Real was the LP that came after that.
Boom. Who
So,
done
so yeah, see, there's a lot of those albums.
Yeah, I pulled that up real quick. That's just a quick little Google search there.
Yeah. And those are some newer ones. So I know this is a lot to digest. So I don't know if anyone even is paying attention or caring. But
we got 4 people watching. That's
awesome.
Here's my mom. She said, where did the name Dunnas come from?
Well, we used to kind of, it's almost like a term of endearment. Like we used to say like, what up, son? Or what up, Dun? What up, Dunna? You know, and it just like, that was just kind of how we refer to each other as like, that's my Dunna, you know? And, you know, some of the Queensbridge dudes, Nas and them, they say like, what up, Dun? You know what I mean? They would talk like that. So we kind of did it a little bit, but it was just like what we were, it was like just a name for like a friend, you know, like, this is my Dunnas right here. This is my crew. These are my guys, you know. So the Dunnas, that's just what we represent. You know, we're just two buddies, two friends that like to rhyme, and we were cranking out a lot of music at the time. And then I did an album called Dutch Burner with this dude, Mike G. Went by the name Mass Appeal at the time, and there was a crew called the Boom Bap Addicts. Raw B was the other one. So Mass Appeal and Raw B produced that. And I was my life was taking a little bit of a plummet for the worst. Not that there's ever really a plummet for the best, but I was heading in a different direction personally, and recreationally was starting to slip with drinking and partying and shit was now getting a little out of control. But we did an album called Dutch Burner and dropped it in 2012. And I was a little like, I was pulling away a little bit from music. I don't know if I was discouraged or what, but these dudes were like, yo, we're coming to your house every Wednesday. I'm bringing the mic. I'm bringing the fucking machine, and we're going to do this album at your crib. So I was like, whatever, dude. Like, you know, and I feel like every session, it was one of us got like blacked out drunk and like needed to be carried down the stairs. But we made a cool album called Dutch Burner, and that was 2012. And then I hit a little bit of a snag and a lull as far as releasing music from 2013 to 2015. I was really in the shit, like just struggling with addiction and just I was having a tough time for myself, to the point where you know, I needed to make some changes in early 2015. And my daughter was born in July 2014. So that was kind of like, okay, like maybe time to stop being like the, you know, always drinking and partying, bartending rapper dude, and like learn how to be a dad and get sober. So like that was the end of a chapter into 2015. So that's when I got sober, January 10th of 2015. And then I got back to like releasing a lot of music after that. But that's a whole nother thing.
Pushing a decade here.
Yeah, I can't believe it. It feels like I was just staying at this house, because I moved back to my parents' house when I got sober. I was unable to continue to live where I was living and be around the people that I was trying to be around. And I came back here. It was 2015. I had a big case open. I thought I was going to go to jail. And luckily, someone that was in my life for a long time that I already mentioned, the Yukon, he had already had 5 years sober. He was coming up on 5 years that March. So he had like 4 and some change. And he started coming to my house, and he was like, dude, like, there's a better way. There's a solution for you. And he's like, I found it, and I'm gonna show you. And I don't care if you don't want to get up and do this shit, like, you're doing it. And I like always looked up to him as like a big brother. You know what I mean? Like, that dude did so much for me, um, as a friend and as like a musician. Like, he took me to Cali for my first time. He introduced me to all like the Boston rappers and got a bunch of good shows. Did a song with Ed O.G. Like, he just was always like putting me on to cool shit. Like, he really was a good friend to me, even when we were in like heavy drinking days, you know. And so when it was time for me to get sober, he, thank God, he was already on that path, and he took me under his wing and was like, "This is what you got to do." And I was open minded and willing enough to say, "All right, man. Like, I've taken enough of a beating. Like, the drinking and the partying wasn't taking me to places I wanted to be anymore. You know, it was taking me to some scary places, and I was in enough pain. You know, they say like pain is the great motivator, and because for years and years and years I wasn't in pain. I just was like, I don't feel pain. I'm not causing anyone pain. I'm just having a good time. You know, I'm a musician. I'm a bartender. Like, blah blah blah. So I was like entitled that I can do whatever I want. Like, this is what we do. And then things changed, like when my daughter was born. But I needed help because I thought like, oh, once the baby's here, like, I'll be able to sober up on my own. I'll know what to do. And I could not. So I needed help, and he was a big part of that. You know, my parents helped me; they supported me. I moved back here. I got sober in my little sister's old room upstairs, in the purple wallpaper with the fucking heart-shaped mirror on the wall and stars on the ceiling. And I remember like kicking friggin' 20 years of drinking and drugs, like, in that room, looking at myself in the hot mirror, like, oh man, you know, you do some soul searching in those little hot mirrors.
I want to I want to sneak in a couple comments. It's
Yes, sir.
Brett Giuliano. Truly appreciate you speaking on this, B. And
You got it, my guy.
this is my mom. I'm so proud of you. You have offered sobriety support to others so often, paying it forward.
Mm-hmm. You got to give it away to keep it, my man. That's what they say. You got to give it away to keep it. And I found that is very true. And the things that I do to maintain my sobriety today are the same things I did in year one when I was building a foundation. You know,
Let me ask you, do you feel like, because when we met, it was a very different time. We were both at very different places in our lives, and now you have a family, you got kids. Do you feel like that's been a positive thing for you, and how's that affected your life, man?
Oh, 100%, man. Sobriety is the best thing I ever did. And I wouldn't be able to be in the position that I'm in today without my sobriety. And I was taught to keep it in the top priority, because like anything I put above my sobriety will be the second thing I lose after I lose my sobriety. So like, I need to keep that up here so that I can have my family, I can have my job, I can have relationships with friends, I can, you know, I can do the things that I'm able to do now, because my life was very unmanageable and I was not able to maintain anything like that. I couldn't keep a job. I couldn't keep real solid relationships with anyone. The people that I was around, we just were not, it wasn't healthy. And my kids need me to be healthy.
Hmm.
And I need to be healthy for them. You know, it's a work in progress. I'm not would never claim to be some type of spiritual guru or somebody that has it all figured out. Like, I really don't. I just take it a day at a time, and I just plug away at things. And but it's true, like your mom just said, like, being available and being present for people, you know, that are struggling. Because like I said, man, I couldn't do it alone. I didn't know how to get sober. I didn't know nothing about alcoholism. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know which direction to go.
Did you ever go to any meetings or anything, Pete?
I'm still a member of a 12-step fellowship, and you know, that's helped me. That was my path, you know, and I'm still very active in a 12-step fellowship, and that's my way. You know, there's many ways to skin a cat, and like, you know, we spoke about it a little bit yesterday. Like, I know people that have taken different paths and different directions, and people that maybe you know, didn't go 100% abstinence, but they got off the dope or they got off the booze that was really bringing them down. They got off the shit, and that's great, man. Like, I don't fucking turn my nose up to that at all. Like, if you can separate yourself from what's destroying you, find a way how to do it, and do it. Like, that's great, you know. But the way that I was shown was through a 12-step fellowship, and it was through helping other people, and through, you know, some certain steps that you have to take, and that was what worked for me. So I stick with that. And like, if anyone's watching this and they're curious about it, like, I try and respect the anonymous fellowship that I belong to, so I won't talk too much about that, but I'd be happy to talk to anyone privately about more details, and like specifically the things that I did to get sober, because you know, there's a little formula to it, and you know, it's been great, man. It's been life-changing, and it has allowed me to live a life beyond my wildest dreams, and I'm not just saying that. I'm dead serious.
We got a question here from Jonathan Sullivan.
My man.
Does being sober make it hard to create or perform?
Great question. Early on, it did, man. Like, I had a real hard time in early sobriety as far as creating music. Performing live, the first couple shows being sober was tough. It was tough being in the bars. Like, I remember playing at Detention, had a bar up in Lowell, and we did a show there. And I remember, like, we were waiting to go on for like 2 hours, and so I needed to go for a walk, just because performing, like, I just used to drink and party like every day. So like, days that I had shows or days that I was in the studio, like, we were getting it in. So now in sobriety, it's like, okay, what do I do now? Like, I can only sit down and eat a cheeseburger. That's going to take a half an hour. And what do I do the next hour and a half? And how do I rap on stage without a beer in my hand? And, you know, it took some time to adjust and get used to it. But the creative process, I really struggled with. Like, we released the Dunnas album in 2015, but I think a lot of that was done before I was sober, like the making of that album. And then I struggled. Actually, the project that kind of lifted me out of that creative kind of snag was a surprise secret project that we did with me and my boy King Arthur, who's a great MC out of Framingham, Mass.
King Arthur.
You know King Arthur?
No, but I like the sound of that.
Yeah. King Arthur, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. We're best MCs to ever live. So we did an album. I had all these old EGADS beats in the stash, and I hadn't really worked with EGADS in a couple years. And me and King were like, "Yo, let's do a song, and we'll do it on an EGADS beat, and we'll send it to EGADS just as like a surprise." And he was like, "Nah, man, why don't we how many of those EGADS beats you got? Like, let's do a project and send it to him." So we ended up doing like 13 songs. I had a bunch of his beats, and we didn't, like, it took a little while to record it. I was like taking the bus. I didn't have a car. I didn't have money. I didn't have a job. This was in early sobriety. It was like taking the bus out to Alston and recording. And then we had EGADS in the lab one night, and the project was like almost done. And me and King, when EGADS was in the other room, we were like, "Yo, should we play it for him?" And he was like, "Yeah." So we were like, "EGADS, come here, bro. We gotta show you something." And we sat the kid down. We like played him like 13 fucking songs on his beats, and he was like, he's already like the best, like most enthusiastic dude like about music. Like, he's playing air drums, and so we like literally like blew this kid's mind that night, playing him all these joints. So that like got me pumped up. But I after that, I was like, man, who am I? Like, I don't know. I was struggling with like my identity and like who I was as an MC, because it was always about I'm drinking, I'm partying, I'm swearing, I'm with your girl. You know what I mean? It was like that was always my whole steez, you know? So in sobriety, I'm like, damn, I don't really do that. And then I don't do that shit anymore. But somebody was like, you know, you could talk about your experience like in a past tense. Like you don't gotta rap like I'm fucked up right now, drinking a beer in the booth. Like you can rap like, yeah, man, I've been through some shit. I used to be like this, and kind of spun my perspective on like how to talk about it and rap about it and how to work it into my stories, you know. So then
Yeah,
I
because
got
you're a PBR guy. I remember.
PBR, Heineken's, a lot of Heineken's.
Yeah, and
Um,
at a frat party, that's about what you get at our house. You're lucky if you get a Heineken.
oh yeah, that was fancy. But we started a project. Me and Billy Blaze, we were working together again, and we started an album called Bully Mammoth. And Bully Mammoth will always be a very special project to me. That was my first album that I completed in sobriety, and that one got a crazy lineup of producers from like Teddy Roxman to Germ, Blaze, Novel Rock, Ninja B, like got some heads on there, and
Bully Mammoth is the album cover there. I want to slap that
yeah.
up. I slapped that
Shout
up.
out to Nino's Boombox, the artist who did the cover. He's out of Long Beach, and he's super dope, talented artist, and he sent me that cover, and I was like, yo, because that was kind of my idea for Bully Mammoth, was like a futuristic / prehistoric warrior that's like trapped in some like alternate universe, and he's like fighting for his life. And then he sent me back that, and I was like, yes, that is, I don't know how that could have been captured better. And like, it's hard sometimes taking an idea like that and trying to get somebody to like draw a picture about it, you know?
Yeah, hey,
Um,
you got to have artists you can work with who understand your vision.
exactly. Cause that it's like he took my ideas and my vision, and and then he like friggin' amplified it by 100 and sent me that. And I was like, word. And then there's a really cool video that goes with that for a song off Bully Mammoth called Crawlin'. The video to Crawlin' is the process of him making that cover in his like whatever it is, Adobe program that he like
Oh, I remember
made.
that. There was like a video of him sketching it out.
Exactly. It's all the lines at the beginning, and then like once he has the picture, he's like taking like the tusks and like moving them and like the arrows, and like it's super cool. I thought that was like a pretty cool video. But yeah, so Bully Mammoth, to get back to Jonathan's question, Bully Mammoth kind of restored my confidence in making music and realizing like I don't need anything outside of myself to create. And it reassured me that like I am, you know, all I need to be as far as like the music. Of course I need help from other people, and I relied on like Billy Blaze was such a big part of that. Like he recorded the whole thing, he mixed it, he spent many hours like tweaking that album and getting it to sound really good. And I remember like doing the car test when it was done, and I had to rent a car. I had like a big Tahoe or like a Suburban, and me, King, and Billy hopped in there. We took the CD of Bully Mammoth and we cruised around Alston, Brighton, and bumped it loud. And we were like, "Yo, this is dope." So yeah, man. And then like so that came out 2017. I'm trying to remember what couple albums came after that, and then
Here's my mom again. I'm partial to Spiffy. I also thought that. Yeah, dude.
That's Mr. Jason from Porn Theater Ushers, a legendary producer and close friend, fellow Greek. He made the Spiffy beat, and that's on a cool like 6/8 kind of swing, just kind of like drums and 808s.
Didn't you guys do a cool video for that as well?
Cool video at Wilson's Diner right there. I could see it from the crib over here. Greek diner. Yeah. So that was like when the mannequin challenge was going on, when everyone was doing those mannequin videos. And like we didn't really, that wasn't the plan. I just was like gonna have dude come and shoot at the diner. And he was like, all right, guys, we're doing this mannequin style. And yo, everyone in the video, all those goons that were in there with me, I think they showed up like at 10 or 11 in the morning. Oh, no, it was at like 2 because it was when the diner was closing. But they were up all night. And they rolled in there like 10 deep from wherever the fuck they crawled out of. But everyone was like ready. They were like, they took it very serious. One kid had a wig on and like a tweed coat and fucking. It was all my Waltham goons, man. They showed up, and that spiffy video is like really fun. I had an axe in the diner like this. That was fun.
Yeah.
But then like
who did the video?
This dude Kyle Benecki. Kyle Cahl.
Cool. I thought it was a
Kyle
good
Benecki.
video. I wanted to give him a little shout out because it was a cool.
Yeah. Hell yeah, Kyle's awesome. He did my video for Trash Man too. Trash Man was on Bully Mammoth. I think he did most of the videos on Bully Mammoth. Off the Chain was another one. There's 2 videos for Off the Chain. There's an alternate one. The alternate one features legendary skateboarder Donnie Barley, creator of the Barley Grind, who's a classic. Yeah, he's from Newport, and we became friends. And I didn't even realize that he was really like the man like that. I just thought he was like a dude that skated. And then I realized after like how much of like a legend he is. But I asked him to be if he would hop in the video, and he's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "But I'm not gonna do any like crazy tricks or nothing. I'll just like skate next to you." I'm like, "Yeah, that's totally fine. Like, I don't need you like fucking skateboarding off someone's roof or anything. Just like, just be riding with me."
We can hold hands, and you do a front side shove it. Nothing.
Yeah, a little pop shove it. Yeah. So that was cool. But Bully Mammoth also made a lot of noise and opened some doors for me, and that landed me on a couple big like radio shows on Sirius Radio. DJ Eclipse picked it up.
Awesome.
So that one was good.
I still have a copy of the CD somewhere. I remember.
Bully Mammoth?
Yeah, you sent me one at some point.
I was gonna say, I remember sending you one.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. I don't know where it is, but I have it. It's definitely somewhere.
Well, you better find that shit.
I bet it's at my mom's house.
I bet she bumps it more than you.
Yo, my mom doesn't fuck around.
No, your mom has been a very true supporter to me for many, many years, and I don't even know why. Because like when she met me, I was probably just some young punk, But she's stuck by my side through thick and thin, and we appreciate you, Sue, for that.
Yeah, she's done something similar to me.
Yeah.
This guy here's Brett Giuliano. He said, "FYI, I'm on Maine Watertown." I don't know what that means, Brett, but yeah, I'm gonna read it anyway. You put it up there.
He's on. I think he's saying he's on Main Street in Watertown, which I'm on. I'm off Main Street in Waltham, which turns into Main Street Watertown.
Oh, so maybe you guys are neighbors.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I'm familiar with Watertown.
He's stalking you right now on my show.
That's cool. What's up, Brett?
Word up.
But yeah, how much time we got tonight? I feel like I don't want to keep you all night. Are we doing an hour? Are we going longer? What do you want to do?
I don't set a time limit. I've got what I've got left is 4 questions. It's probably about half an hour.
You want to zip through those?
Yeah. What's up with Steven DeSimone, man? You said he's one of the reasons you're still active, and I really have enjoyed watching you guys work together, and I just love the music you guys make, man. Tell us a little bit more about Steven.
Thank you. Yeah, Steven, aka Big Dees, one of the best guys I've ever known. Great guy. I always like when I speak about him to people that know him or they don't. I'm like, if they're familiar with his music, he's so like braggadocious on the mic and like punchlines and very humorous and like, but he's like always like clowning, dudes like, lyrically or whatever. Like his style is just very confident. And then like when you meet him, he's very like, he's a very humble and like gracious dude. And I always respected that about Deese, because it's like, you know, as modest as you're gonna act and as bashful and kind of almost like shy as he was, I'm like, I know you in there can destroy like anybody here, like in a good way, in a healthy way, like musically. Like I always respected that about him, because like I don't know if I would be friends with him if he was how he is like on the mic, because you know what I mean. Like if anybody was really like that, like for real, like oh, he'd be pretty tough to deal with. But he's not, and I think to be able to walk that line between like being a humble and a real cool dude, and then just being able to just spaz on whoever on the mic is really cool. You know, like battle rappers, I'm sure like not all the battle rappers are like, you know, aggressive, like mean jerks. You know, I'm sure they're cool too. It's an art form, you know. But
you guys
Big
have
Deese,
you guys have great chemistry. It feels like.
thank you. Yeah, I it just feels like just something. Even from the beginning, it was never forced. It was never like, we're gonna do this and our thing is gonna be this, and we're gonna wear jerseys and fucking, you know, it was never like forced, you know. Although, like, I'm not gonna lie, like when we do shows now, I'll be like, yo, Deese, like I'm rocking the,
Yo, I
you
do
know,
have a jersey.
yo, I'm rocking the Dan Marley tonight. Like, we like to say like, are we doing basketball jerseys tonight? Or are we doing football jerseys? So like a little bit, maybe we forcing it a little bit like that, but like, as far as making music, like it was always just like he'd have 100 verses in his head. He don't write nothing. He does it in his head. Everything you hear him rhyme, he constructs in his brain. Which, like they say, Jay-Z does that, and some Lil Wayne, maybe some artists.
One of those guys.
He's one of those guys. I am not one of those guys. I'll write a rhyme pretty fast, but I am not one of those guys. So I always like respected him for that. Should I shine a little more light here?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, he's doing well. We're gonna take a little ride up to New York in a couple weeks and visit a radio station on satellite radio and make an appearance up there as well. So we're pretty pumped.
Yeah,
and we just dropped the album Who Done It. It was our first vinyl. Shout out to Chairman Chow, who produced it with Billy Loman. They made the beats on it, and we were able to get a vinyl deal out of that. And yeah, so like the Dunnas is still going. Dunnas are on a little bit of a run right now. I see a comment about next show.
Yeah, I wanted to. That was from a little bit back, but I wanted to get that in there before I forget.
The next show, I don't know. I don't think we have a show booked right now. We were supposed to do one in Providence, but that got pushed back. But we're going to do this radio show, and right now, like we have a couple like radio appearances, a podcast thing lined up, and then we have another 2 more albums that are done. So like, and rather than like a show, I think you'll be seeing and hearing new music from us first, and then there'll be some shows coming with that stuff, hopefully. So
cool.
Yeah, right. Man, Deese is the best.
Big fan of that Alex English jersey. I don't know what that is, man.
Alex English was on the Nuggets, and that was a cool jersey. It was the old school Nuggets throwback. It's white with blue, and then it has like rainbow, like red, yellow, blue, purple stripes. And it says Nuggets because back in the day, you used to smoke Nuggets, bro.
Oh,
you know what I mean, bro?
Yeah, we don't do that anymore.
No. But
here's my mom. Here's my mom saying we need to do a Lindenville show. That'd be cool, dude. I'd love to have you up sometime.
Wait, is that in Vermont?
Yeah, that's my hometown. Yep.
Lindenville.
About 3 hours from where you're at. Ish.
Dude, I'm coming up there actually in the next week or 2. No bullshit.
Well, call me probably.
Yeah, no, I'll hit you up. I'm coming up there for work, and I'm going to be staying up there for a week maybe or something like that.
Oh,
I
for
don't
work.
know what town, but I know it's 3 hours and 45 minutes from Canton.
Okay. Awesome.
So
What kind of
we
work? Construction work?
construction work. Yeah, yeah.
Hey, so I did my own segue there. Could you tell
I
us?
know where you're going with this.
Can you tell us 5 things you might hear on a Boston construction site?
Well, we're deep on the 5 more things now. We're in the hundreds.
Tell us 10, dude. I don't give a shit.
Multiple hundreds. Oh, there's a bunch. Well, what you can do if you want to hear as many things as you can handle as far as some things that you may hear on a Boston construction site, make sure you go on Instagram or what's the other one, TikTok or Facebook. And if you go to your search bar and then write hashtag 5 more things, you'll see this handsome face pop up with a hard hat on, maybe some cheetahs, some glasses. Not like these ones, but
do you have the yes, dude.
you know, that's when I'm like the foreman at the desk. That's been like a new character that I introduced. But yeah, 5 more things is just a little silly skit that I started. I was actually working at the Everett Casino before they opened the big casino in Everett, and we were doing a terrible job up there. And I was so fucking bored out of my mind. And every time I would leave, and I was around so many characters, and they'd be like, "What's up? What's up, guy? Go ahead, fucking, just all Boston guys. They just talk how we talk, but it's a little exaggerated." So I fucking was like, these are like little things that you hear all the time. So I'm like, 5 more things. And I'm like, this is something that could just never end. There's always going to be 5 more things that you may hear. And as long as people are opening their fucking big, stupid Boston mouths on a construction site, we're going to hear a bunch of crazy shit. So I really just plagiarize things that I hear. And then like I go in my own wacky mind and like spin it a little bit and make I spend a lot of time in like dark corners of job sites where no one can see me, kind of talking to myself and saying, what if I say fucking this, but I don't really put a lot of preparation into it. I write 5 bullet points, like 5 words, and then I go into the Instagram app. I shouldn't give away all my secrets.
You
And
should.
then I just say 5 more things. I just record it right on the thing and I send it. But that's another thing that like turns out people like that, and that's what landed me on that cooking show. See, I'm just segmented into the cooking.
Are you gonna do all my own segues? Because
I'll just handle the rest of this podcast. You can just put the screen back on me, and I'll do both of our things. All right.
Boom. Did we get that? I posted this picture.
I've seen it with the squid.
Yeah, this is like literally like whole squids. Yo, so and I want to say me and Tasha watched this on TV, and I know my mom watched it.
Yeah.
And we had a great time. Yeah. Tell us how you ended up on there. That's my last question is about this, because you're up there with Bobby Flay and Amber Rell.
Yeah.
These are world class. He's an Iron Chef, man.
Bro, Iron Chef for real.
Yeah. So how'd you end up on there, dude?
So this is what happened. I started making these little silly 5 more things videos. One day, a person contacts me from Los Angeles on an email and says, "Hey, I know this is really random and weird, but I'm a casting agent from Los Angeles, and I came across your profile, and I really like your construction videos." And I was like, okay. But it's weird because like on Instagram and shit, you get these messages from people that are like, hey, like I can take your brand and make it better. And like you get sketchy messages. I actually had a kid last year tell me he was fucking Ed Lover's son from Yo MTV Raps. And he was like, I want to put you on the new Yo MTV Raps thing. And I was like, what? But then he fucked up and he told me that his dad, he's like, ever since my dad died last year, it's been tough. I don't really like talking about it. And then I talked to my man and I'm like, did Ed Lover die? And he's like, no, I follow him on Instagram. He's still alive. So I went back to the kid. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? But anyways, before that happened, this lady reached out. She liked the videos. She goes, you're a Greek rapping construction worker dad Bostonian, and I totally could put you on a TV show. And I'm like, I've never heard of anyone looking for that combination of things, but like, if that's what you want, like, I'm definitely the guy. So I was like, what's good? So she was like we were trying to do a different show first, and then it didn't work out. And then she was like, what about Worst Cooks in America? And I was like,
wait, you tried out for a different show?
No, I didn't try out. The other show first was called Family Food Fight, and it was like the premise of the show was like I had to get like 3 family members to like go on the show with me, and we would be like the Greek family from Boston versus the Italian family from New York, and we're gonna have like a food challenge. Like we're gonna make our food and go against them, and it sounded like kind of a cool show. But like my father, I was gonna bring my father with me, but he had like hip surgery at the time, and like my mother didn't want to go, and like I was pulling like trying to get like my cousins to go, and like I just couldn't. I couldn't get the squad for the family, you know. And then she goes, and I'll just say this exclusively here between you and me and the other 3 people watching, if they're still watching. So she said, "What about Worst Cooks in America?" And I said, "Well, I can kind of cook. I don't." She goes, "Well, what if you couldn't?" And then I was like, oh, yeah, like, what's cooking? So then I sent in this ridiculous fucking audition tape of me making clam chowder out of skim milk and fucking sardines and shit. Like, well, I think you put flour in it. And but they liked it because I sold it to them a little bit. And then I got on the show. And then it was really weird because the show was called Worst Cooks. And then, like, I quickly found out that, like, most of the people on the show seemed like they knew how to cook a little bit. So I was like, what's going on here? But you had to go from like not knowing how to make a bowl of cereal to like cooking a fucking rack of lamb medium rare like perfectly in like a day. So
how long were you on the set for?
I was there for like 3 weeks. I made it on 6 episodes, and then I knew my time was up when I looked at my team, and it was me, the priest, and the hot cheerleader from the fucking NFL. And I go, I'm going home tonight. My ass is grass, bro. So I made one final thing. I thought I made it pretty good. It was like I made like a stuffed sandwich with a fried egg on top, and I made it like Thai inspired. And my egg was like a little bit burnt on the bottom, and it just like wasn't as good for Chef Ann. She didn't like it, and fucking I got the boot. But life is crazy because on my way home, I flew back to Providence, and I took an Uber from Providence down to Newport. And on my way home, I was talking to my Uber driver about the show, and I was kind of bummed out. I was like, I just got eliminated, and he goes, well, listen, man, it's okay. Like you're needed more here at home with your family. And I was like, yeah. I was like, okay, like that's nice of you to say. Like, and then like 2 days later, my girl's mom was in ICU, super sick, and she ended up passing away like a month later. So like in a way, it was like the guy was right. Like I needed to be there for my family during that time because it was like a tough time, and if I was still out there on the show, I would have been out there another week or whatever. So everything kind of unfolds the way it's supposed to,
And it was fun to watch you, dude. We had a blast. And you didn't get knocked out right away. So we were like, come on, like, we were pulling for you, man. It was
hey, I appreciate it. The love was crazy. I remember that time. Like it feels like not long ago, but it was actually 4 years ago. But I remember like being pretty pumped up, being the fucking attention whore that I've always been my whole life, and being like, hey, I'm gonna be on again. Like, check me out if I make it the next weekend. Like, people really liked that. Like, people that I grew up with or people that I'm friends with on social media really liked that I was on that show. Like, people that I've been trying to get to buy my CDs and come to shows for like hundreds and hundreds of years that never fucking came were like, yeah, you're on Worst Cooks. And I was like, I finally made it,
It takes.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't know this was what it was going to be like. This is just life takes you in different directions. And that was one that was like really cool. But, it was a good experience. And like, Bobby Flay, man, I grew up watching for years, Food Network, Top Chef, huge Bobby Flay fan. And we didn't know who was going to be the other chef. We knew it was Chef Ann's show. And she surprised everyone. And she goes, all right, this season, this is who I'm facing. Boom, and the doors opened up, and it was Chef Bobby Flay walking through.
Wow.
And we were like, oh, shit. I really wish that I ended up on his team, so I got to work with him closer. But, it is what it is. Grateful for the opportunity.
I love that clip of you. Hey, I'm telling Ann Burrell your story. She's like, I don't think you do want to hear my story, Chef.
Yeah, she goes, I want to hear it later. I don't think you do, Chef. Yeah, her and I didn't always jive. Like, I don't know. I wasn't listening good enough to her a couple times, and she'd get mad at me, and it was her show, it's her gig. So I mean, I tried. I was really trying to just get out there and get the bag, but I came up short. And my daughter at the time let me know. She was like 5, and she goes, Dad, remember when you left me for 3 weeks and you didn't even win the show, and it was all for nothing? And I was like, oh my God, Ayla, like, why are you doing this to me? But she's a sweetie. Poor kid. She just got an expander put in her mouth today. They stretch the palate of your mouth for braces for the teeth to grow down. I had one in high school before I had braces, or maybe when I had braces in high school. But they just put it in her little 9-year-old mouth today, and I'm really sad for her because it stinks. It's not fun.
Well, if she's watching, Dad just blew up your spot.
I know. Shout out to her though. She's a tough little kid. She'll be all right. She'll be happy when she has nice straight teeth someday too.
Boom.
Is that the wrap it up sign?
No, I like to slap that up. I actually was supposed to slap it up earlier and I forgot. But I'm here with Peter Smerlas.
Can I give a shout out to the dude who made that logo? Is a dear friend of mine.
Yeah, please.
His name is Swiss Precise. He's out of Long Beach as well. He is the creator and founder of Knights of Bedlam and Horror, which is this shirt. If you could show this shirt.
Boom.
Boom.
Oh,
He makes a lot of gear. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, I turn this way. Yeah. But he makes a lot of clothes out of Long Beach, and I always support him. KBH, that's like the crew. I got a couple KBH tattoos. Like, those were the homies in Cali when UConn was bringing me out there back in the day. Those dudes took us in like brothers and always showed us love. So shout out to Swiss. He's an awesome dude. And you can check out knightsofbandh.com. I'll put that down in the comments somewhere.
And before I forget, I got to ask you about the Payphone Kings, man. My mom's here reminding me to ask you about the Payphone Kings. And I did over that, which I didn't mean to. Please tell us. Payphones, please, says my mother.
She's paying attention. Payphone Kings began as a funny little joke that my friend Tyler Brown, shout out to Tyler, started like, I don't know, fucking 10 years ago, 12 years ago. He just took a selfie with a payphone. Like, see that phone behind me right there? That's not a payphone, but that's kind of cool that's in the shot. I didn't even realize that.
Oh, no, dope. Oh, that's dope. I did not. That's been there.
That's like an old ass fucking cranky phone.
Yeah, killer.
But so Tyler took a selfie with the phone and just did like hashtag Payphone Kings, and then it became like a little bit of like a not competitive, but it was like, yo, you see a payphone, take a picture with it, hashtag Payphone Kings, and then it started like a little crew. There was like 3 of us that did it, and then there was like 5 of us that did it, then there was like 10, and then like it became to me because now I'm sober at the time, and I'm like looking for things to do. And I have the isms of an alcoholic, which can also stand for I seek more. So I always want like more of something. So payphones became like the obsession, and I was on the hunt. And I probably took it way further than any of the people that ever did payphone shit. But I would every time I'd be in a new city or town, like I'm breaking my neck, you know, most dudes are like checking out chicks or whatever. I'm like looking in gas stations like this for fucking payphones. So then it really grew and grew and grew. And like now, like payphonography is like a thing online. So, you know, people do that shit. But payphone kings like grew, and like I think we've got over like probably 4,000 or 5,000 phones, and doesn't matter if it works. I don't even check to see if they work. A lot of people ask me, do any of them work? I don't even ever pick it up and listen. I just, if the box is there and it has the phone symbol on the side, like cool. It doesn't even have to have the receiver. It doesn't even have to have the phone part. But I will draw the line at like sometimes you see just the black post that the phone was on. I call that a carcass. That's just a carcass. That's not like an exciting picture to look at, like the fucking black thing. So, but if it has the box on it, or if was, you know, a payphone, and anybody can be down with the payphone kings, payphone queens, payphone kids. If you see a payphone, snap a picture of yourself with it. See and I'll end with this. The difference of payphone kings is we're about the people, not just the phone. So like when you see payphone kings, it's the person with the phone. A lot of these other pages are just like a payphone. This was from fucking New Hampshire, whatever. And it's just the phone, which that's cool. I'm not mad at that. But payphone kings, queens, kids, we're about the people. We want to see your face. We want to see you doing something cool. I love to climb on top of the phones. I used to shove my kids inside the fucking boxes, you know, stick them in the booth, climb on top of the booths, jump off the booth, and take a picture in the air. Don't do that and hurt yourself, but just, you know, get creative with it.
Yeah, the fine print is not responsible for any injuries from phone.
Yeah, neither am I. Neither am I. Yeah.
Hey, one last thing I forgot to ask you. I know you've done hundreds of shows over your life. Who's some of your favorite guys to perform with? I feel like you've probably, you know, I've seen you on some posters with some guys, man. Tell us about some of your favorite shows you've ever done.
Couple that stand out. 2008, I did a show with Slick Rick at Harper's Ferry, and that was really cool because he was really cool. And after the show, I was backstage, and he was just chilling, and he had like a platinum encrusted diamond plated eye patch and chains, and we got to kick it, drink a beer. I don't know if he was drinking, but I was drinking. And that was cool because I had just done a show opening for the Jizza, and when the Jizza showed up, everyone that performed before him, they kicked us all out of backstage. They're like, all right, Jizza's here. You guys fucking beat it. It was like we were just like whatever. So that didn't really sit well with me. And then when I did the Slick Rick show, he was just so cool and smiling and hanging out. I was like, that goes way further with me. And then one of my other favorite memories was when Primary 2.0 opened for KRS-One, and the Blastmaster showed up, and we were in the Middle East, and we're playing, and we're getting cooking. You know, we're on the second or third song. I see the back door open up, and here comes KRS, and a couple of his people come in, and they go right into the green room, which you can see kind of off the back of the stage in the corner. And he left the doors open to the green room, and the lights were off, but you could see like his silhouette, like his shadow of like his dreads. And he was just sitting back there, and he was going on right after us. And I remember like in between songs or like performing, I'd check back there and I would just see him watching, but you couldn't really see. It was just like his outline. And so it was like kind of intimidating, but like motivational to like let's go, you know. And then so we did our thing. We broke down.
Don't fuck this up. Like,
yeah, yo, he's watching. So then we did the show. We had a good set. He came on. He did his thing, and then we were like breaking down at the end of the night. Everyone left, and then some lady came up to us, and she was like, "Hey, Chris wants to talk to you." And we're like, "Who the fuck is Chris?"
Oh, he has a name.
KRS. Yeah, like KRS-One, the guy you just fucking opened. And we're like, oh, yeah. So we went and talked to him, and he had such nice things to say, and he was like, yo, I do a lot of shows. He's like, it's very rare to see like a band like you guys bring that kind of energy and that type of live music and blah, blah, blah. And he really liked us. And we were just kind of like, yeah, like, thank you. And then he left, and we were like, dude, get the CDs. We didn't even like give him a CD or give him anything, or a business card, a fucking phone number, or anything. And we chased him out with the CD. Like, hey, and his tour bus just fucking drove away. We were like, but damn. Good memory though. But yo, I don't want to end abruptly, but I gotta run. But
that's okay. This is awesome. That was my last question, dude. Peace, Smerlas. If you got any shameless plugs or shout outs you want to throw in, I always leave the last word for the guests. Otherwise, that's all the questions I got. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for doing this, man.
Bro,
it's nice to see you. You look great too, by the way, man.
Thank you, brother. Do you think pink is my color, or?
I actually think you're pulling it off nicely, dude. The hat and the t-shirt, you look phenomenal, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I just got back from Aruba. I'm trying to capture them island vibes, you know.
Oh, word up.
But no, man. Hey, shout out to you. Shout out to your moms. You guys are the best. Thanks for rocking with me for this long. Anyone else that tuned in tonight, thank you. Anyone that gives a shit, shout out to God. Shout out to my family. The people in my life that support me, and everybody out there that's chasing their dreams and still going, and just don't ever give up, man, because you never know, where this life is going to take you. So just be ready,
Word up. We're going to sign it off. Pete Smerlas, I'm your host, Caleb Teskey, reminding you that the devil's in the details, and the details are in the fine print. Peace, guys.
Peace.
All right, dude. Cool. Killer.
Later, brother.
Beautiful.
So,
did I end it?
You share this link? I can share to people to watch it. Are we still talking?